Good morning. I am higher vibrations and so are you. So crazy this week, right? Oh my goodness. It's been so amazing having all these energies coming in, but they also feel kind of uncomfortable when they are bringing up some of the things that we're not accustomed to having to look at, having been used to perhaps just ignoring things and or not even realizing we hadn't healed some things. So a lot of us were having this experience come up. Before I get started on the questions here, welcome everybody. Thank you all for coming. And there is a page on our channel here on YouTube called The Human Witness, Athena, The Human Witness. I think that her channel is called The Human Witness. She had posted just recently some really amazing stuff that went along with what we had just experienced. So I'm going to share her post on my channel after this is over. But if you can find her, it's amazing. She's really on point of what has been going on. So hello, Vegan Vixen. Good to see you. Lindsay, so blessed to be here. And listen, Pamela, I'm so happy to see you, sweetie. She says, hi, Pamela. Please, can you explain a bit about brain fog and disorientation? And why is it so often and so intense? Also, is flatulence caused by purging? Yes, it is. And there's more of it. It's an energetic purging. So let's answer this question first and then go back. The how it works is that when we heal a density in our body, let's call it this big, but usually it's microscopic, okay? But let's call it this big, and then when that density is purged and released, then always a larger space. So see how I expanded my hand? A larger space is filled with air. It's a thing. It's just a thing. And so when that occurs, then we'll be releasing it through burping, through flatulence. Bum burps is something that Jackie calls it. I just think it's hilarious, so I call it that now too. Just that there's this motion of extra air leaving us. Also, when it comes to the brain fog and disorientation, a lot of us, if not all of us, are having this. I would say that it is most frequent during solar flares, and a lot of their people have their own opinion, though the experience that I understand and know that is occurring is that these solar flares are actually helping us. They're actually so I don't know how many of you remember this because I'm surprised by the number of people who have don't recall this. Not very long ago, when we were in school, they would teach us that like 90 to 95% of our DNA was called junk DNA. It didn't have any use. And they don't teach that anymore because now they have proof said in the contrary. However, so what's happened is we have all this dormant DNA. So we have a number 90 to 95% of our DNA previous to these experiences was dormant. And it's coming online. It's waking up. It's coming out of dormancy. And as that's occurring, there's a recalibration that needs to happen. There's a realignment and all kinds of stuff. We're creating new light pathways within our bodies. And most of this time, all of the light pathways have been devoted to the brain specifically. When the brain really isn't that important. I mean, it's important. All of our organs are important. We had been putting more importance on the brain than the heart. And so the dissemination, the giving out of more of this energy as we're learning to move it around, I think is what causes truly a lot of the brain fog kind of stuff. There's also one other thing that I noticed that was happening quite a few years ago when I first started to clear the density around my pineal gland, your third eye, the little organ that's inside your brain, the little teeny one that looks like a pine cone kind of. There is a density that we all have. Density is a word. Toxins in their word. I don't know, something that doesn't belong there. It's kind of a barrier. And this shell comes off. Once the shell comes off, it's like a physical thing having to do with whatever we had in our diet, the air, whatever. It's not your fault. However, here it is. And so it's time to clear it. For me, it was causing brain fog like stuff until I started to guide this in meditation down into my intestinal region. I suggest that you do this rather than your stomach because I tried the stomach first and it's very unpleasant flavor. It is really repulsive. Just let it to evacuate through your bowels at a later time. So Um, so both those things are in play, and I know that it's uncomfortable, and especially when it has to do with it causes like vertigo and dizziness kind of stuff. Just knowing that this is a temporary thing, and as soon as we're done healing through it, then it's going to be resolved. Um, the the catch 22, it's not really a catch, but it feels like it, is that we feel like we've healed something and then it comes back. And then it's like, well, what? I thought I healed this. You did heal that part of that. There are many layers to it. Um, and not every one of the things that we're healing have as many layers as the others. It's just based on how many times you've come here, incarnated in past lifetimes with this same objective that you have now. And as we've come in over the many times, it piles back on bigger and bigger and bigger in order to get you to look at the thing that needs to be healed. Like, you wouldn't hold your face to heal it if you didn't get something hurt there, right? The same kind of concept. And so it becomes a lot, which is why so many star seeds and stuff have come in to kind of resolve some of this and taken on so much trauma. Each one of us have taken on a multitude of trauma, and there are so many facets and layers to it that we think that we've lost some type of progress in healing when you've not. You've done great. You've done so great. It's a new level of this awesome video game, and please don't give up. You really have made progress. Okay. That part was the hardest part for me. It was like trying to tell me I didn't do some work. I've been working, so yeah, it's all of us are doing this. Especially right now during Lionsgate, by the way. Um, Vanya says, "Hi, lovely souls. Why are so many forgotten anger issues bursting out?" Hey, we were just talking about this, bursting out simultaneously with Ascension. Why the need to experience again and release? It gets too emotional at times, and unlike me at all. I totally get you, girl. Yes, yes, yes. Especially the anger, frustration, irritability kind of stuff. I've been noticing since, not as much anymore, that though, for that whole week, starting last Saturday, the Saturday before yesterday, and then up into pretty much Friday or Saturday, somewhere in there, the added bonus of this weird anxiety. Ugh. It was really uncomfortable. I didn't like it. And I knew it wasn't me, but it just kept coming. It just kept coming. And like, it was just, what it is that right now we are in Lionsgate. And so we're in the middle of our solar storm, I guess is what it really is. These solar flares coming repeatedly at us right now. And each solar flare is being amplified by 10 by the alignment of the Syrian sun, which is what Lionsgate is. And that's why during the time when you have what you need in order to heal something, everything that needs to be healed says, "Oh, cool. You can do it now. Pick me, pick me, pick me." And then you got a bunch of like energies coming in. And it's just that concept of being okay with knowing there's a bunch of voices asking for your attention, and pick one of them. And then when you're done with that one, you can pick another one. You know, I I'm the mom example, so I always tell stories about like mom stuff. But walking into, a room that all of the toys from all of the neighboring houses all kind of came to and just got plopped, and it can be very overwhelming. It's like, wow, there's a lot of cleaning that needs to be done. One toy at a time. Pick up one toy at a time, and knowing, by the way, that when these things are meant to be addressed and to be assisted, they're not needing you to savor them. We don't need to sit there and play with the toy and do these. Just put the toy away. Let the toy go. Let the whatever's coming in be acknowledged for its existence, that it happened, and to not judge anything about it. Remember that we use the word judge as a negative thing, like, oh, that we're judging it because it must be bad. And it's not. It's deciding anything about it. It's deciding if it's good or bad. It's deciding where it belongs, how it fit into my life, if it's a past life or someone else's past life. Those things are awesome and entertaining sometimes, but when we invest in that way, often we perpetuate the experience when all is really needed here is for us to release it. Also, by the way, when we judge something, we are actually imprisoning it. This is a message that I consistently get from all types of beings. And the one that I got it from the first time and most consistently is from Archangel Michael, just to don't judge it if you can. Just love it and say goodbye. Vegan vixen, yucky stomach, although I'm not off my food. Weird, huh? Clicking in ears and heaviness in chest with bouts of coughing. Anyone else? Okay, so I understand what you're talking about with the food. It's really weird. Like having a really, it's almost excited stomach is what it feels like to me. Like anticipatory, like what kind of, here comes something cool, and that causes for me to feel like nausea and stuff, or just slight nausea when I consider food, though I do end up eating. I go back and forth. Something I've been doing for a while is called intermittent fasting. That for my body, it's really healthy and the correct balance, but everybody's different. And in that, I usually won't eat for about 18 hours or so in between meals. And that's just the way my body likes it. I'd been eating breakfast for most of my life and found out it made me ill. And I knew that, but I didn't know that it was the food because, that's the healthiest meal of the day, I was always told. Um, Lots of coughing stuff. So let's talk about that for a minute. Thank you for bringing that up, Vegan Vixen. I'm actually going to cough right now. Hold on. There's a lot of this stuff going on at 12:12 right now. That's pretty cool. All over the planet. And it's so awesome. I have this unique blessing of getting to interact with people all over the world regularly. And as a result, I can say this with conviction everywhere, all around the planet. This long stuff is happening. Um, I do know that the purging from the sinuses creates the need to cough. And remember when we were little, I don't know, I keep saying that, but it seems like maybe I was the only one that was taught that when I was little. If someone's having a heart attack, to get them to cough. And no, I'm not saying that that's something for you to worry about. However, that proves that it activates our heart, right? When we cough, it activates our throat chakra when we cough. It activates our sinuses and the chakras associated with them when we cough. And so this purging from the sinuses that's causing this lung stuff to happen, the really crazy purging, feels like it's an assisting thing. Like it's not the most lovely. I could really do without. However, I can see its worth. So it's pretty cool. Mother Nature. Hello, Genevieve. Good to see you, sweetie. Mother Nature says, I hope all of you beautiful souls are having a blessed day. I've been having crazy ear itching, nausea, purging, and exhaustion. I've got some kind of weird thing happening. Oh, there we go. I fixed it. I appreciate your video updates, Pamela. Thank you, Mother Nature. You're so sweet. Yeah, so there has been the ear itching stuff for me. I've noticed it's in conjunction with some kind of weird purge that's happening too. Weird stuff's coming from had been coming out of my ears. It still is a bit very odd placed, like almost zits, but you couldn't really call them that. I do know that we just had a temple chakra activation. Remember we have the main 7 chakras that everybody talks about and knows about, though that we have those are called the primary chakras. And then I would say there's a couple more that really are primary as well. And then there are a whole slew of other chakras that are all over our bodies. And we're having a lot of that. First, usually there'll be a headache associated in the temple region. Usually both or one side. Like well, what I mean is that usually the side that it's affecting is something to do with another part of your body. So usually there's like the divine feminine activation, the divine masculine activation kind of thing. I notice codes and patterns like all of you, and that's the patterns that I've noticed with that. The nausea a lot of times has to do with the solar plexus. So a lot of us are having solar plexus, sacral chakra, and root chakra tension grabbing experiences. Just quickly, most of us have spent so much of our experience here incarnated doing really well with our upper chakras. Hey, 111 people here a second ago. I love seeing the synchronicities. Upper chakras means your heart chakra. Your higher heart has definitely been online. Maybe we just didn't realize it. Throat chakra, third eye, and crown. Those chakras we're really good at activating and accessing, giving a lot of attention to. And most of us, including myself, like I had no interest in working on my lower chakras. When I was waking up, I was like, third eye open now, like, and it already was. That's why we're in the awakening, so it's about going in and focusing on these other chakras, the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. Those three chakras are needing a lot more attention, and as a result, you'll see a lot more symptomatic experience regarding the organs that are in association with those areas. And so the nausea, for the most part, I've noticed, has to do with the excitement that's coming from the solar plexus as it's kind of getting more and more attention. So and then it levels off. It does level off. With the gallbladder area is usually also associated directly with this chakra and the sensation of nausea. Not always. The gallbladder is a place where a lot of us have stored our anger. If you've not stored it there, it's in the liver, which is more typical. And unresolved, unexpressed anger can become something that's similar to what we call a thought form. And it just kind of needs to be released, is all. It needs to be released. We need to let this stuff out. It is part of our experience, and to let it flow really helps everybody involved, including ourselves. And so just allowing yourself to be honored, to honor yourself in those experiences, if that makes any sense. I lost my spot. Here we go. Hello, Samantha. Hiya, Pamela. Pamela, love your channel. How do I activate my lower two chakras? Because there we go. Because I can't feel them. How will I know when they are activated? Love and light to you. That's so cool and poignant that you mentioned that, Samantha. Okay, so these lower chakras, and remembering when we use the word lower, this is not about hierarchical, like they're not less than, that's where they're placed, and that's the directions how we flow in our way of understanding these things. So I typically will first suggest that you think about the color of the chakra, and then in correlation to that, bringing that color into your life more, increasing that vibrant color in your foods and your drinks. Even if you're using a container or a cup where you are eating or drinking out of, that is that color. The red, the orange, or the yellow, or all three will really help. Wearing those clothes, it sounds really silly, but when we bring these colors into our life, it changes our experience. For example, everyone suddenly feels better when it's spring, and everyone assumes it has to do with the temperature. The world is suddenly green. Green is your heart chakra. Green is healing. When we have the healing color present, then it becomes in balance. It's able to be seen and experienced and expressed more completely, and creating that balance. And how can you tell? I would say that when we are in meditation, to interact with this chakra like a consciousness, like a child, usually they're very timid and quiet, like a child at first, and then interacting with them and having like an energetic conversation, you'll start to notice that they kind of speak to you. They answer you, not in words exactly, but the feeling of what they mean. Like you have a connection with a child, if you have any children, or something similar to that. And what's more is that you won't find it in distress. It won't feel icky, when it's in balance. So I don't know. I hope that I answered your question. I have guided people more than not, lately, especially to work on this moving into Gaia with your energy, and that actually activates all your chakras or helps. So just very quickly, what we do is we bring in the light of God, remembering that everyone sees. Initially, they think that the light of God is like this little teeny stream that goes down into your crown chakra. It's like a waterfall. It is huge. It's white light of God. It just over the top through all parts of you. And while it's moving, we do specifically direct it through the chakras here. The main chakra center, the primary chakras. And as we do that, guiding it down through, will then often kind of stop when we feel like it's opened in our root chakra. We go down to all of in the order that they are. And what we're meant to do is to, once they get to that point, noticing each chakra light up as that light goes through them, boof. And then as we get down into that lower chakra area, we're noticing that we're needing to stretch. And so a lot of times the energy, the light of God, it looks like roots that after it moves through our chakral system, and then it will guide out like roots into Gaia, into the ground. And it's like it's stretching. What's interesting is often, for me anyway, it's long before I even get to the root chakra that I'm already noticing this digging, because we have this excess. It's not excess because we have more than we need. It's that we're meant to stretch and reach, and then to reach all the way to Gaia's heart, and reach isn't the right word. Stretch is correct, because you're stretching out and you're just going in your natural flow. When you get to that point in that place, then there's harmony, then there's balance. And even though this happens automatically, when we do this with intention, it amplifies the experience. Is that then you have the perpetual light moving from Gaia to God, to Gaia to God, through you, like this highway of light. It's really awesome and beautiful and pure, and so that really helps. And in doing that, usually there will be an activation of these lower chakras. Also, I have found that requesting, it sounds like a command when I say this, but there is a love behind it, so it becomes a request. I'll request that they open, like root chakra open, and you get to that place and they do. They just open. They just start to open and work. And sometimes it's consent that's required. Thank you for that question. I just jumped, so I'm gonna jump right. If I miss something, hello, Prithvi, good to see you. Blessings all. Sending love from Canada. Good to see you. Hello. A lot of people here saying hello. So good to see everybody. Welcome. Blessings from to all from Alaska, from Eric. Hi, Jackie. Booty burbs. Yeah, there's Jackie's booty burbs, right? All right, we have some more questions. Spiritual warrior. Well, I know I healed my programming to take abuse. I had a narc co-worker actually physically with me, worker actually physical with me. I went to management and they gaslit the victim and shamed me. I gave my keys back and quit on the spot. Good job. Like, we aren't here to be a victim. We aren't here to, let me rephrase that too. We're not here to stand in front of something that's being thrown at you. Like, you're not supposed to do that, right? Why would you do that? I mean, people can do whatever they want. There's not a not supposed to, I guess. However, step out of the way, like at this point, what most of us are doing is healing our self-worth part, that you have self-worth. The absence of the belief in self-worth has been stunning, just ever encompassing experience for many that we are moving past and beyond right now. And so as this stuff is coming up, for me, what I'm noticing is more individuals are coming up forward to me that feel like they're kind of sort of trying to like put me on the spot or attack me. And what it's meant to do is be a gift to me so I can declare my self-worth in myself by saying no. That, saying no was taught to most of us as being an unloving word, but it's the most equal and balanced love word that there is. Saying no for the right reasons, like saying no because I'm not okay with it. It's loving and respecting everyone involved, and I am not going to sacrifice myself or what it is that I need in my life, and in that expression of saying no over and over again, it can get overwhelming. It can get frustrating. Like, why do I have to keep telling people no for the same thing? And that's because at this time, I'm meant to declare no in order to find my self-worth again, to validate my self-worth, or to confirm it for myself, if that makes any sense. Excuse me. Danielle, hi, Pamela. For the first time in 2 years, I slept the whole night. Hey, wow. That's amazing. Yesterday was the most intense day with purging emotions, tears, anger, ever. Have the feeling I had a big cleanse. Oh, I'm really happy to hear that. Great job, Danielle. Yeah, there's a lot of this coming through right now. And, we're still 2 days away from when Lionsgate technically is. Well, officially, if you would consider time the way that it is, often I'll think about, when is it Lionsgate for the first time on the planet? Consider time zones and things like that. And so we're very much in the seventh energy, if you think about it globally speaking. Anthony, my anxiety is crazy right now. Yeah, the anxiety is not a fun thing. And so when this anxiety, some of this anxiety, by the way, is actually cool. Not feeling, not cool feeling, but it's a cool thing that's happening, is that the last leg of the unawakened are awakening. Like it's happening, like it's finally here. We're finally in that. The ones that have been like, no, I'm not waking up, snooze, snooze, on this awakening journey, on the spiritual awakening that we're all on, are finally doing it, however reluctantly. And many of them are simultaneously realizing what they'd been lied to about, all of that early awakening stuff of like the bad guys, the good guys, that storyline, that we were invested in for a time in the earlier parts of our awakening. And so we're feeling a lot of these individuals and these energies. This is giving you the opportunity to declare your own energy and your own power, and to be this white love bubble that you are. When we do this with intention, bringing in the light, we're breathing in through our nose, filling up our belly, noticing our diaphragm extend with this breath. And then I usually hold it for a few seconds. Typically around 7 seconds is pretty good. And while I'm doing that, I'm also pulling energy up from Gaia through my root chakra, sacral, solar plexus, and pulling it all into one sphere of love. And then I'll blow in that 7 seconds, right? And then I'll blow out through my mouth to expand this white, fill up this bubble of white light. And then it's kind of like a buffer. And so we don't have to get all the stuff sticking to us as quickly, because as empaths, that's kind of where a sponge, emotional sponge, right? And so this kind of prevents us from having to pick up things along the way that's not ours, that we don't want, as well as we send out more love in this way. And it's also helping charge up your energy too. So it's really useful to do. It sounds really simple, and it is. However, it's very powerful. So, Pamela, I think I just read that. Mrs. March, hi, Pamela. Or is Pamela here yet? Or this must have been written before I came on. I'm here. It's good to see you. I guess you needed to reboot, maybe. I hope that you. Okay, people talk to you. Hello, Donna. What would be the symptoms of an overactive third eye? An overactive third eye. I wouldn't say that anything is overactive. It's simply bringing into balance of the other chakras. And so all things are meant to awaken and come into their higher frequency, their higher functionality, I guess is the right way of saying it. And it's just about creating balance and allowing. Oh, now my thing messed up all the way. Something's up with my chat box. So I don't know, like I keep getting all this weird, funky stuff. So I'm sorry if I've, yeah. So if you're noticing that one of your chakras is over active, seeming, it's simply due to the need to focus on the other chakras. And typically, like we said at the beginning of this, is that we need to often go back and look at the chakras that are the first three that most of us don't want to address. Once we can fully open our root chakra, that's celebration time. Opening your root chakra is a big deal. And it's not always easy to do, because we have so much of this hold it in, hold it in, hold it in stuff. And there's a lot of like carnal energy that many of us have shame associated with this. And it's okay. There's no shame. It just is. There's no properness to anything in the spiritual world when it comes to individual experience. And so just allow things to release and be. I did notice that when I first started to open this area of my body, this lower root chakra space, that I started to have these soulgasm experiences in public, which with no reason than in my logical mind to explain or to prepare when they would come. And so it did make it difficult. So just keeping that in mind. Lindsay, thank you so much. She donated 12. I love seeing the numbers and synchronicity. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. Diamond Heart, hello. Super Soul Sparkles, Rainbow. Gasms and soul. Gasms to all. Keep shining. Love you, sweet Pamela. I love you. You're sweet. Let's see. My chat's messing up, so I'm just gonna just read what pops up. Ear itching has been going on for 8 months, says Anthony. 8 months of ear itching. I started to have ear stuff in 2021. So, and it's just on and off. And so I know at first I thought it was consistent. For me, I'm sure it's a different experience than yours, but they're similar. Is that for me, I thought that it was all the time, and then it ended up being I just would notice it again when it started up. So I actually started keeping track a little bit, and it seemed to be on a cycle. So it's kind of interesting. I know that the ear itching has a lot more to do than we think of with this other. It's not just the chakras there. We also have a lot of other things that are coming online. If you think about all of these unknown places in our body that really don't have a full function that we're aware of, there's a lot more that's coming online to assist us in these things. Neti pot daily helps. I heard just now Christopher wrote, and that's a really good point. Um, for clearing out the sinuses and the sinus stuff that's happening with us, as well as the ear things. It does help. I use it too on occasion. I um, find that it does improve the experience. At the same time, it comes back too, so it doesn't clear out. And it's just a maintenance thing. I totally agree. It really does help. And to just give it that clearing out. A neti pot is this like teapot thing that you put in a saline solution, water kind of stuff, and you just kind of dump it into your nose. It's kind of an awkward experience, but anything that's stuck in there will come out. It's really. Louise says, I have a vibration in my left ear, which comes and goes, but has been really loud the last couple of days. Also emotional out of nowhere. Anyone else experiencing this? So this is really left ear. That's divine feminine. Many of us have been noticing predominantly one side or the other of the body. The divine masculine, from the spiritual teaching I come from, is the right side. The divine masculine's on the right side, and the divine feminine's on the left. I know that there's this translation regarding the brain, the right and left brain, though the physical features of our body, that's how it works. And we'll find that there'll be more expression in one side or the other, which is typical. I'm noticing it's doing a pendulum thing now. It's swinging. Like I'll be, I was in this divine masculine side for a long time, and then all of a sudden it was divine feminine. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm divine masculine. Now I'm divine. So now there's more of a balance, probably, is what is happening right now. With the ear stuff, okay, there's a lot more to hear. There's a lot more to hear that many people are not able to perceive yet. And they are able, it's just turning on. That's the most correct way of saying it. There's this auditory stuff that I've been experiencing for some time now that I don't share frequently about, because I don't have the desire to make anyone feel like that they're behind. You're not behind at all. It's just some of us have been doing this a lot longer. And there are things that sound like things now. For instance, the rays of the setting sun. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. The rays of the setting sun are melodic. They sound like, I would say they sound like singing angels if it sounded more like a voice. It's very, very, very close to this sound, though. It's very beautiful. There's a lot of things like this. And so we're turning on a lot of things on our body, in our body, throughout our energetic field. There's a lot turning on. And the divine feminine side of the ear, to me, would definitely be a trigger for that. In fact, I think that my activation started in my left, and then it ended in my right. So everyone's different, though that was consistent. When it came to the right side was when I had like all of this other stuff going on with this ear. It was just really a hard few months. Once I was done with that, though, it's really cool what can be translated or heard. And 144 people here, 144,000. That number has not stopped forever. Oh my goodness. Thank you for your question. Kay says, does anyone else have an eye floater and blurred vision in spurts? Yes, yes, yes. And so they come through a lot of different ways, Kay. I remember there's been times where I've talked to people and they've said that it looks like they're the bottom eyelashes almost, but they're like look like rainbows. And so they're colorful. I've noticed the colorful ones more than non-colorful ones, though sometimes that they're white. Um, and they are actually kind of cool because of when I started to have this and the weird vision stuff. I went to see my eye doctor. I don't have an eye doctor. I created an eye doctor for myself, and went to see this eye doctor. And my vision's perfect. I don't have lenses or corrective lenses of any kind, and my vision's better than it used to be. So, I then understood that what I was leaving focus and coming back into focus was actually things that we're starting to see that we couldn't see before with the physical eyes. For example, we vibrate at this frequency. I'm just making up a place that you're maybe vibrating at, right? And then something else is vibrating up here. The way that we raise our frequency is always like this, too, by the way. You would think it'd be like, okay, let's go home. Nope, we're doing this. We're going like this. And so when we go like this thing that's perceivable at this frequency is seen in and out of sight. And so this fading in and out, the blurry vision stuff, often is seeing something for its truest form. Another example is a lot of people reporting seeing someone or something look completely different, just barely outside their peripheral vision. So the corner of your eye would be over here and just in front of it, and till they focused on it and looked at it and then kind of made it be back to what they remember or want it to look like. And then people stopped doing that, stopped correcting it. And when you stop correcting it, then it can just be what it is. Some of the things that we interact with daily don't actually look like what we think they look like. It's just been a general consensus agreement that we've made. I know it sounds kind of bizarre, but it's really like a thing, and it's good. I think it's pretty neat. All right, so I'm gonna have to figure out a new way to make sure this doesn't get all lost everywhere. But so I just read that one. Okay, I caught up. Hello, Genevieve. It's not silly. My clothes drive me nuts because they don't match, and I actually need them to. Colleen, hello again from St. George, Utah. Hello, Colleen. So enjoy your programs and information. Thank you for your time, the time that you spend with us. You're welcome. I love this. It's really fun. I really enjoy. Hello, Chakra and Marie. I love spending time with my family. Just as I said that, my sister popped in. Hello. Good to see you, sweetie. Utah has got a lot of cool activations happening there right now. I bet it feels kind of dense, but there's some pretty amazing things happening. Claire says, I can see fractalized light coming from the sun all the way to my body. And when I focus on it, it's full of 1,000 spirals, seeing auras and sparkles. Is this the third eye seeing or dimensions? Yes. The answer is both, is all, is yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. In fact, I'm going to do a show on the Soulology Network website in a little bit here in like an hour and a half. And that's part of what we're going to talk about a bit. The sun, plural, have been giving us some really amazing things lately. And starting in 2020, actually. The sun spirits, the sun souls, I don't know what to call them because they don't really care what they're called. If most energies had a higher frequency than has been kept by what we would call the 3D, don't actually care about names. Names aren't real for them. What they feel like, what you feel like in your heart right before you say someone's name, that's their name. That feeling, the resonance, that's their name. And so anyway, they're really cool. They're really amazing. And yes, you're seeing them. Being able to see them gives you the ability to, if you should choose to interact with them, to they're being perceived on purpose, and all can perceive them. It's just when we are able to accept the possibility what's before us, rather than logicking it away. I still logic things away all the time. So I'm just really proud of you for being in this expression that you can sense and see this, and also allowing it to persist. Excuse me. See, speaking of gas, right? Hi, higher vibrations. I love you so much. I love you too. Dr. Chanofi. I think I said your name wrong. I hope I didn't. I'm so happy everyone comes to get to understand what's happening with us right now. It's really cool. This is a celebration time. Pamela says, Mrs. Marks says, Pamela, are eye floaters a symptom too? Yeah, they're a symptom for sure. I don't typically talk about them as much because they don't bother me anymore, so I don't think about it. Um, a symptom is a experience that's happening as a result of ascension. And so some of these visual things that we're getting, these knowings, these understandings can be also categorized in this way. Um, the vision returning has been the fun example you see in the 3D understanding. I don't use that word anymore. I don't know what else to use instead though. But they're phases of consciousness is what we're talking about when we talk about D's and stuff. Anyway, um, as we raise up our frequency to this place, then we'll start to activate our eyes more, the use of our eyes. So we talk about our third eye. What's fun is our third eye actually is like this. It's not like this, and it's a lotus flower. And then there's also this, right? This area. I don't know exactly what to translate that for. And then there's the fifth. The fifth spot is the center. The fifth spot is the place. And so this is the area that's being in this exchange right now and assisting all of these things to wake up. As we bring our frequency higher, then we can start to, like for instance, here's an example. ET ships. I know they're not called UFOs anymore. Whatever. They're ships. We will see them and then we won't. And then we'll call it cloaking. We'll say that it's a cloak, that they have a cloaking device. Their cloaking device is raising their frequency above what you're able to perceive. They're still there. They're just not perceived. And as we raise our frequency, we can do the same kind of thing. We're not raising our frequency above those around in our perceivable energy in most cases. What we are doing is raising our frequency up enough to be able to perceive them. Does that make sense? Hey Todd, soulgasmic. Yes, let's get used to it. Exactly. Yeah, there's some cool stuff happening right now. I mean, and that is the thing too, is that we get used to it really quickly. There's things that are like, whoa, this is so profound. And then we forget that it's even significant to share about, to talk about, because it becomes normal so quickly. The novelty wears off. And that's why we do these types of videos and things, is in order to document it, to give it out to somebody who's going through the same experience. Like, you are mostly water. 70% of our body is water, and water has memory, and each of those memories contains a variety of crystals. They're just microscopic, but they're so pretty. And as the memory comes forward, we realize that it's in our very DNA, that it's who we are, that it's part of our physical memory as well as our emotional memory, our intellectual memory. And then when we come into that memory, it very quickly is forgotten what it's like to not have that memory, to have that experience, to know. Our biggest goal in this life has been to reach the knowing, to be able to find out all of the information, to know. And then we come to this place when we do, and we realize the first thing we think about is what it's like to not remember, to not know. That this is the gift, to not know. Okay, I'm really lost now. I cannot even scroll. What is going on with my YouTube? Holy cow, I'm so sorry, guys. Doing my best. Okay. Well, we're here at this spot now. Luminous Light says, hugs Pamela. Jacqueline Marie, 144 all the time. I know. 144, Jackie. Luminous Light, sore throat today. Yeah, I've been noticing that yesterday and today too. Sore, feeling like I'd been using it in a way I'm not familiar with. I don't know how else to describe it. So yeah, there's something going on with the throat right now, which is awesome. Throat activation. Trina, hello, sweetie. Left ear flutter and pain behind both. Okay, there's the ear thing again. Left ear again. Left ear is really common experience a lot of people are having. Extreme nausea, shaking, dizzy, can't walk straight, want to scream and cry, teeth sore, some blurred vision. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. So this usually all of this stuff is at the same time. Specifically, what we're talking about, the nausea, shaking, dizzy, the walking straight is this equilibrium thing that we're struggling with in bursts. There's almost always, for me, the upper gums are associated. The upper gum and teeth feel like there's a headache in my gums or in my teeth when these moments happen, and then it's not a persistent or consistent thing, it moves. As well as there's always usually a purge of emotional purge. And so we have this type of thing that you're talking about. The ear fluttering is on the left side. So this is the divine feminine. The divine feminine is when the ear flutters, in my experience. I know everyone's a little bit different, so this is how I understand, and that's the signal that they give to me. It when I am meant to focus on this side of my energetic field. Like it's like, hey, correct, correct. Oh yeah, I need to focus on this side for a minute, kind of thing. And the correct means that, just helping me to balance all of the frequencies coming in. Remember that we're getting intense frequencies right now, gifts from God, from Gaia, from all things, from all expressions and all love, all at the same time. And so when they move through us, it's like it does it's a lot of love, a lot of light, especially in a physical form, this vessel that we are incarnated in that hasn't contained that much light for so long. It causes this shaking expression until we can regulate it, until we can ground it and give it that delivery system between God and Gaia that we talked about, that moves through our center core, our core, our main, our primary chakras, and that line. Also, we're activating the synapses of our legs, of our other chakras that aren't being active, that hadn't been used as well. Meaning your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root chakra also have synapses like we do in our brain. Energy, light form that moves through all your extremities, your digits, and all these things. And as they're moving through, some of these light expressions haven't been felt or moved through this part of your body for this lifetime, or at least quite some time. And so it causes it's like dusty. I don't know how better way to say it. And so this motion sometimes usually will cause some type of a physical shaking experience. I know this is really common, Trina. A lot of people are having this expression right now. I'm finding the desire to walk more. My vehicle broke down, and it was perfect timing because all of a sudden it's probably better to walk right now anyway. Um, and that's okay. You know, being in the moments that you need to be in, and figuring out our way around it is exactly what we're meant to do, I think. Is finding your path. And one of the biggest gifts of the lockdown was that it gave everybody the requirement to stop and to sit. Usually, before 2020 lockdown, what usually would occur for people is that they would have an injury. Something would cause them to no longer get to go to work every day for a time, and they would make them have to sit and to meditate and to be in silence, and to be away from the distractions and the noise. And so sometimes it still happens that way. Keeping that in mind, and allowing ourselves to follow what feels correct for us. And I'm not giving any advice to do or don't do anything. Keeping this in mind and being gentle with yourself as much as you can would really assist and help you in this expression, this experience that's happening at this time. Kay says, Pamela, I love the picture behind you. Could you move your head for a sec to see the full view? Yeah. So this means God, and this means Jesus. These are the original, the first original uh, letterings, alphabet. That's actually something we're going to go into discussion with Elsa Dillon in an hour and 11 minutes. There's a lot of really beautiful in-depth coding and stuff coming out about this time. And yeah, so it's really pretty. Thank you for saying that. I love it too. Vegan Vixen, is anyone having teeth problems? Mine have deteriorated quite badly and gums have receded quite quickly. I hope our teeth will repair themselves and will grow back soon. I know. I agree with you. Yeah, a lot of people are having teeth, oral, dental, trauma, weird things happening. what had occurred for me was I didn't have any gaps in my teeth, and all of a sudden, all of my teeth decided they wanted to have gaps, and then it actually harmed a few teeth behind them, which was the unfortunate part. During this time, I wasn't the only one. So this happens in bursts of, like it just depends on. So for me, this was 2 years ago, and usually it's a 2-year cycle. These things are almost always 2-year cycles. And so, yeah, when this happens, we notice that there's a really big activation in the throat chakra, the throat and the chakra, as well as all of the secondary chakras that are around and within the throat, mouth, sinus area. This neck area too, right in the back behind the head, is purging a lot for a lot of people. That little divot, that space. So this is like your head, right? And this is your neck. And this spot right here, this spot is having a lot of purging stuff coming out that could be considered boil like, or even I've heard about some people recently who had cysts that they chose to have removed. What was really interesting about that discussion was there was a family member present during this procedure who is awake and aware, and she could hear the the cyst being removed, shouting and protest. It was a parasitical energy, and not always is that the case. That just really fascinating to hear that. So yeah, there's a lot of this area stuff happening right now. I do know that it is an option, and that it is a started thing that many of us are starting to self heal and regain things about this physical form that had deteriorated over time. This is meant to be had in a very gradual way, and all things that are meant to be lasting need to be gradual. That's just how it works in spirit. That's they're always saying that to me anyway. And so keeping that in mind, that sometimes what happens for some of us is that we become impatient about something occurring, and then we decide that it's not going to happen. And what actually occurs when we do that, it's really a kind of a complex thing, but but what we end up doing is telling the universe that's something that we don't want. And we're manifesting our reality that happens before us. However, what it looks like, okay, the visual they're giving me, it's a glacier. It's the ice that's on the land, okay, not iceberg. The glacier moves across the continent, and it scratches and does all this stuff, right? It does its thing. It's very large. Its mass is huge. And when it decides to change course, when it decides to go left instead of forward, then it takes some time. It takes time to take this mass, the entire collective, to turn left. And often, those who are standing in its wake, those who are before the path of where this glacier is coming from, still it appears to them that it's still coming to them when it's actually turning left. It just takes some time. It takes time. And in that moment, in those moments when we're seeing that it's happening, often it's difficult because we often will require some type of validation or proof. But keeping that in mind, the entire collective is being steered into this beautiful place. And, we're just along for the ride. I do know that these things are going to happen. I just don't have a time frame due to the sheer size of this. Hey, Carmen, good to see you, buddy. Jackie says, my right eye was very weird last weekend. I closed my left eye, and the right one was just a blur of light with what looked like purple flowers. It lasted for a bit. That sounds beautiful. Yeah, a lot of light codes I find come through the ocular region. I'll notice it. They'll look kind of like geometric shapes, but also like a kaleidoscope. I don't know how to explain this, but those are the closest thing. And then it just the moving nature of Sacred geometry to me isn't, it doesn't have permanence. Sacred geometry, when it's brought to us, it's alive, and it's shifting and it's moving. So it's creating this character, then this character, and every slight motion or every slight movement creates a whole nother character. Us understanding them logically is not required, which is the best part of the story. Us the requirement for us is simply to give it attention, just as it's here. Just check it out, watch it, enjoy the expression of it. It activates us through just being present. It's really cool. Thanks for bringing that up, Jackie. Oh, Claire, thank you so much. She's donated $4.44. I love all of the synchronicities that's been coming through and all those fours. Thank you so much. Leona says, just joined from Australia. Hello, Leona. Welcome. Hello, Pamela. Finding sore muscles, but feeling on a higher vibration than before. Seeing things a lot clearer. Thanks for all that you do. Thank you. I'm really happy that so many people are joining from all over the planet, and the whole point of doing this is to let everyone know that they're not alone. I mean, how many of us have spent years and years and years and years feeling all by yourself, feeling crazy, isolated and alone, unique in so many ways that it made me feel almost like a freak in some cases, and then I one day found a YouTube channel where people were talking. And all of a sudden, all of that validation that I was getting, even though it was small here and there, it was just enough validation to realize that I'm not crazy, and just enough validation to trust myself. And guess what? When you start to trust yourself, then you're able to experience more. When you're then your power turns on. When you trust yourself, you trust your intuition, your knowing. When you have a reason to trust it, then you can. Moving from these densities places, most of us came from incredible trauma, places where we were like gaslit. We were getting a lot of gaslighting, convinced that we're crazy over stuff that we're not crazy over. So we're unlearning some of these patterns. We're unlearning this stuff. And I found that the unlocking for this for me was some random person talking in front of a camera where other people can talk in the chat. I looked forward to it all week long, every Monday. That was what I did. And then we exchanged emails, and I found out that there's a whole bunch more people. So because of that, we also have these Friday Zoom meetings that we do that are free. It's just for 2 hours, and there's a lot of people that come, so not everyone gets a chance to speak. However, I'm going to start doing this where I make breakout rooms again, which is like within the Zoom, there's like a little side room that people can go in and talk. Anyway, this is just so we can meet each other, so we can connect, so we can know that you're not alone, that this is a group effort. We are ascending in mass. It's not an individual thing. We are together ascending a whole planet, and there's also the Telegram group. There's, I think, about 400 people in the Telegram group now from all over the planet, all over the world. And that just can chat and talk about whatever you want. For you to find the link for that's in the description of this video, and every one of my videos I have the link for the Telegram group. It's considered private. You need that link to join the group. So and they are called the light bearers, the ones who bear light, and it's just a beautiful group. So something to consider too. If you feel like you need to connect with somebody in the middle of the night, there's usually somebody awake because there's all time zones represented. It's really cool. And yeah, thank you, Jackie, for saying this. Don't forget to hit the like button. This has been a really fun conversation. I don't feel like I answered enough questions, and something's going on with my chat here that I need to figure out. I think that we just need to start the computer over again. But thank you all so much for joining today. And I hope that if you get a chance that you come to the soulologynetwork.com group, that we're going to have our conversation with Elsa Dillon, experiencer, family of 10 out in Australia, who just has a lot of really awesome insight and love to bring forward. And that starts in 1 hour and 1 minute. Oh, I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. And I will be back next Sunday at the same time. I'm sending you so much love. Aho blessings.